Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we will be discussing the differences between Carol from the comics and Carol from the show. So right away, let's start with the biggest difference, and that is the fact that in the comics, Carol is dead. She dies around issue 42, I think it is. So that's right before the prison arc ends. She dies really on. It's actually crazy, which that is around the end of season 3 to the beginning of season 4 that Carol in the show would have died, but they never wrote her off the show, and now she's one of the longest living characters on the show. And I don't think that they can kill the show Carol off anymore because of how long she's been on and how much of an impact she's made. I do think that she could end up dying at the end of the Daryl Dixon show, just to give that boost for the spin-off show where they're bringing every show together. I think they could do that, or have her die in the big spin-off show where everything comes together. It is a possibility, although I do not want it to happen. So in the comics, Carol pretty much kills herself. She throws herself to a walker a couple, I think it's months, maybe a couple weeks, months, I'm not sure with the timeline there, after Tyrese cheats on her with Michonne. It was a very shocking death. It was, very shocking, very surprising. I didn't see it coming, especially because I watched the show first and then read the comics. It was just completely out of the blue for me. Also, Carol's story is pretty different from the Atlanta group on the comic and the show. In the comics, Ed does not exist. I don't think we ever actually found out what happened to her husband or Sophia's dad, but we know he wasn't anything like Ed in the show. In the show, Ed is a terrible man. Terrible, terrible person, doing all this stuff to Sophia and hitting his wife, and just, ooh, he's a bad man in the show. Another thing in the comics is that her daughter is still alive. Sophia is still alive, and she survives the entirety of the comics, but she dies in season 2 of the show. I don't know why they made that decision. I think it was good for the show, but when you try to connect the show with the comics, you really can't do that, because the Carl and Sophia relationship that is supposed to be there, that's in the comics, it's never there in the show anymore because there is no one. The only thing that they could have gotten was with Carl and Lydia in the show, but they went and killed Carl off in season 8, which is the dumbest decision they ever made on the show. Now, they tried to do something with Carl and Enid, which I really did like. Enid is a great character, and it was the best choice that they could do with what they had. Now, in the end of it all, I prefer the show Carol. Also, the show Carol is way more stronger than comic Carol, because comic Carol wasn't around long enough to have that character development to have her build up to being one of the strongest characters on the show. So killing her off that early just completely wipes all of the character development that Robert Kirkman could have wrote in for her. Now, I do like how comic Carol was killed off. However, I prefer what is going on with the show, because the way that they were able to write it and the way that they were able to make a good story out of it. They are doing a phenomenal job with what they're doing on Daryl Dixon right now, and I can't wait for season 2 of that to come out. I think it's September 29th that it comes out. I cannot wait for that. That is going to be such a great show, and I'm really excited to see Carol again. Now, the final thing, and I kind of forgot this, and I can't believe that I actually did forget it, is that in the comics there is no Daryl. So that character development with Daryl never happened in the comics, but it did happen in the show. And Carol being friends with Daryl and, being in a group with him and always having that character development with him is the reason why Carol is the way she is now. If they did not have Daryl in the show, I really think that they would have killed Carol off during the prison arc. So not having Daryl in the comics completely changes just how everything works out with Carol in the end. That is pretty much all of the differences that I remember for comic Carol and show Carol. If you remember any, comment down below and let me know. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like. I'll see you all in the next video. See ya.